There we go. My bad. What's good, everybody? I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This video is going to be brief, but it's going to definitely be informative because there's a lot of information. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the Debt Free Dad, where we talk finances, attorney reactions, all of that stuff in between. I am a licensed attorney in multiple jurisdictions, but none of those jurisdictions make me your counsel. So if you're looking for legal or financial advice, don't listen to a talking head on social media. Even if it is your boy, go seek a professional to get you squared away in your area. Now, this video is going to be interesting because we're talking about money. We're talking about some legal nuances. We're talking about a few things. I wanted to kind of just break it out so we can get a clear picture. But I saw this article the other day, and then somebody hit me up asking me about it. Like, why does this even make sense? How is it possible? So I was like, you know what? Let's break this down since it is kind of a money topic. Let's talk about it a little bit. If this is your first time tuning into the channel or you tuned in before, I definitely invite you to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, like button. I know y'all get tired of me saying that, but it definitely helps the channel, and I definitely would appreciate it. Now let's go ahead, pull up some open source research. Okay, we're talking about Takeoff. Let's kind of backtrack actually before we even dive into it. Let's backtrack. If you don't know who Takeoff is, you probably wouldn't have clicked on this video. But hey, rap group, the Migos, very popular. Last November, I believe, he actually passed away. It was a homicide in a bowling alley. Well, a lot of things spun off that, and fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, some things spun off before that brother's untimely demise in November. The month prior, a young lady who we'll identify as Jane Doe, hey, Takeoff got caught up in what we've been seeing going on in New York with Diddy and a lot of other hip hop stars. He had some sexual assault allegations that were lodged against him. This was in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. I did my open source research because I don't want to just be talking about nothing I don't know. But this incident happened in Los Angeles. I'm not going to really go into the facts of it, but a lot of things financially and legally spun off this. And, you know, if this is your first time tuning in, y'all probably heard me say it a crap load of times, but yo, how you move will definitely or can definitely or has the potential to definitely impact your finances, your ability to earn. So we definitely have to be cautious out here. And just, I mean, just as a caveat, fellas, I'm talking to y'all out there. Like, yo, all it takes is one allegation, whether it's true, not substantiated, or not, is gonna make your life a pain in the you know what, trying to just fight the case, trying to keep your reputation up in the public. So, you know, it's best to conduct yourself in a manner that won't leave you where somebody could kick you in the you know what with some crazy wild allegations. Even though we know sometimes they can't be avoided. Now let's take a look. I did so December these allegations and a cause of action was filed. Now this is civil. I looked it up. The Los Angeles prosecutor's office declined to prosecute any case or bring a case criminally. So everything that we're talking about is from a civil standpoint. The main point of civil litigation is to hey, get that bread, get that guap, get that cheese, dinero, loot, skrilla, ends, dough, whatever you want to call it, and make the alleged victim or purported victim whole financially. So all this stuff we're talking about today is from a civil standpoint. Now, when we actually take a look, and I actually Googled it, look at all the topics that came up because it's like 5 financial and a crap load of legal videos I could have made on this. Okay. Let's see. First of all, the civil lawsuit was filed in December of last year. In November, rest in peace, Takeoff passed away. You see here in June of '03, Takeoff mother sues the venue where the Migos rapper was slain, and essentially what that is, she's suing them saying that they were negligent. They didn't use an adequate duty of care or standard to ensure security. I'm not gonna dive into that, but I'm gonna just tell you off the cuff. That's a far stretch because I'm sure a gazillion people bowled in that bowling alley or wherever they was at without nobody getting blasted on, and a homicide happened. So, but that's one legal point that is filed. We see the alleged killer is indicted for the murder. That's number two. One of the other things that I saw when I pulled this article up or when I did some open source research, just before we even go into how is it possible for your mother to be put on the stand in the place of you if you passed away. Before we even go into that, another thing that I saw was that the brother passed away. Why everybody calling me doing production? I know it's my daughter. See? Yes, baby girl. It's not. It's still. If the time is still on, don't touch it. All right. I know it'll be done. You can touch it now, but you're gonna get salmonella if you open it up and take it out early. All right. Bye. She's so greedy. She get home from all of her dancing and everything, and then she'd be ready to grub down. But one of the things from a financial standpoint that I saw before I talk about how it's possible for your mama to end up as in your place as a defendant in a lawsuit, um, this brother also passed away without a will. So I actually saw that his mother and father were just like going back and forth about his estate because he passed away, he didn't have a will. So when you don't have a will, you know who decides who gets your shit? The state, the government. And so I saw where they had a battle over that. Now let's go ahead and get into this article so we can see. I'm gonna make this so y'all can see the article if y'all want to really take a close look. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Okay, we can click on this. Anyhow, double XL. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna read this article. Then I'm gonna talk about it, give a little bit of a legal breakdown. All right. Woman who sued Takeoff for grape wants his mother to be the defendant for lawsuit to continue, per report. On December 8th, My News LA reported that the plaintiff who is suing Takeoff for an alleged 2000 grape has filed a court document requesting the case continue despite the rapper's death last November. The woman is reportedly requesting Takeoff's mother, Tatiana Davenport, step into the defendant role in the case, since she is the acting administrator of his estate. A judge will reportedly make a decision on the motion during the next hearing of the case on February 22nd, 2024. Back in August of 2020, an unnamed woman filed a lawsuit against the Atlanta rapper, claiming he assaulted her on June 22nd of that year. Jane Doe claims she was at a party attended by Takeoff where he began staring at her, making her uncomfortable. She claims the rapper later saw her with DJ Darrell, which sparked an argument between the two men. She then alleged Takeoff came into the room she was in and assaulted her despite her objections. Now, that's what we got. Now, this is from, I told you, the prosecutors in Los Angeles declined to pursue this case. And when prosecutors decline to pursue a case, it's probably a good reason. Takeoff denied the claims through a statement from his attorney, Drew Feinling. We have reviewed the allegations and have similarly done our own due diligence. The statement read, what has become abundantly clear is that this allegation made against Takeoff are patently and provably false. The claims and statements made regarding this lawsuit indicate that the plaintiff's representatives have not spoken with relevant witnesses or reviewed available evidence. It continues. Takeoff is now renowned for his artistic venture. They're essentially saying that it is a money grab. Now, I did see an article out there in the ether where they essentially talked about the prosecutor said that they were declining to move forward with the case. And most times, like I said, if prosecutors aren't moving forward with the case, it's probably a damn good reason that they are electing to decline the case. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the legalities of it because when you just hear it on his face, it sounds absolutely crazy. I got a case against me. I pass away, and somebody's like, "Hey, if your mom's is handling your estate, she's the defendant now. Get your ass in the defendant seat so we can get this paper." So we're gonna talk about, is that plausible? How it happens? What are the rules in California? And that's a terrible gift to leave your parents. Having to deal with this. Now the judge is gonna make a decision on it, and at the end, I'm gonna let y'all know what I think the judge is gonna do. Typically, when you're in a criminal case, defendant passes away, it's null and void, everything is gone. I've actually had this happen, and it was a case that I dreaded. I was like, the facts to the case was terrible. I don't know if I was representing the guy on, it was something with a firearm. I want to say it was an armed robbery. I was representing the guy on an armed robbery, and these facts were terrible. But you got to do your due diligence as defense counsel and represent your client zealously. And literally, the morning of going to court, it was even unbeknownst to me. It literally just happened like that night before. I'm waiting. They called his name. I'm looking around the courtroom for him, and the prosecutor stood up and was like, "Your Honor, the defendant is deceased. The state is moving to dismiss the charges." So that's typically what's going to happen in a criminal case. This case is actually a civil case. So, like I said, well, it's all about the money. So, and it's in Los Angeles. So let's just talk about this, okay? Death of a party in litigation. What happens to the action? Okay, we're talking about from a civil standpoint. A pending action does not abate by reason of death of a party if the cause of action survives. That means, yes, a cause of action can survive a decedent. I saw a few examples of this up close and personal. Child support court. Fellas, if you owe back child support and you pass away, that child support case for those back child support, those arrears can still be held against your estate, and they coming to get that bread. Even if you're not here, you're gonna pay up one way or another, but it doesn't necessarily make the case go away. Okay, automatic stays can occur when an action, blah 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 blah. We don't even go for that. Okay. All right, here you go. From the point of view of the court, the case will continue even though the party is deceased. It is up to the executor of the estate of the decedent to bring a relevant motion to the court. All right. So essentially, bottom line, if you pass away and you have a civil case against you, that case or someone, the executive of your estate, can be held as the defendant. The effective death on damages for a deceased party. All right. So essentially, as discussed, all cases where the action survives the death, except as otherwise provided by California civil procedure, uh, damages may be awarded but can be radically altered. With the exception of elder abuse cases in California, they expressly carve out provisions for elder abuse cases where damages are still recoverable for decedent's pain and suffering. Um, that's talking about on the plaintiff side. When we talk about on the defendant side, you got a lot of questions because the first question you're going to ask yourself is, well, DFD, how are they going to actually prove what happened if the defendant is no longer in court? That's actually a good question. And that's why I strongly believe that the judge in this case is probably not going to allow Takeoff's mama to stand in place of her son as a defendant because there is nothing that she can say or do to speak to the facts of the case. And let's just think about this from a common sense standpoint. When you're dealing with criminal matters, the accused has a right to confront the accuser. That's a general provision throughout the court system. But in this civil context, Takeoff passed away. If his mother stands in place of him at trial, there's no way, absent a video, a corroborating witness, there's no way that a defense can be made on his behalf by anyone. Now, when will putting the Takeoff's mama in the defendant's seat could have actually paid dividends if the trial process would have already started. So let's give the example. December, cases filed against Takeoff. Let's say wouldn't happen this quick, but let's say in November, December, and January, the brother didn't pass away. And as fact finding, they did depositions. The depositions is where they bring someone in. They, we're going to depose this person. They record it. You're under oath and you give your testimony as to what happened. Then after the deposition, if your brother would have passed away, in that scenario, it probably would be more likely that the judge would say, I'm going to allow the executor of his estate, his mother, to stand in place of the defendant. Because if he would have had an opportunity to be deposed under oath to give his statement of the facts and what happened, at least there is some evidentiary basis to make a decision. But because this case was so early, when he passed away, the case got stayed, nothing happened. She's filing this motion now to try to put mama in the defendant's seat because essentially the clock was ticking on her ability to file that motion. I just can't see a situation where the judge is going to allow the mother to move into place because it's the plaintiff story against no one. There's no one else who can speak to the facts of what happened. Now, according to Takeoff's attorney, they said they had spoke with independent witnesses who can corroborate that this stuff is fabricated and a money grab, as they're asserting. But I just think that would be too messy unless you have some direct witnesses who were literally there in the room when this stuff allegedly happened or didn't happen. Outside of that, I would be shocked if a judge allows his mother to be placed as a defendant. Like, I just can't see any way. It's all about equity and fairness, okay? The process has to be fair for both sides. How is it fair if the plaintiff, this young lady, can go on the stand and say, this is what happened and this is how it was, and he did this to me, but his estate has no ability to really challenge that? They may have some third party witnesses, but they don't have that direct evidence from the person who was there. Like, I would be shocked if the judge allows his mother to be made a defendant. I will be absolutely shocked. And I just don't see that happening. I think there's a strong possibility that this case is going to go away. I think there's a strong possibility that, you should have. I mean, it is what it is. If the allegations are true, hey, sometimes it is what it is. That's just how the justice system moves. If the allegations are false, everything is going to work itself out. But I think it's crazy and wild for people to know that, and for you to be able to put someone else in that seat of the defendant who is acting as an executive of that state. It's all about, being able to finish up the case and get a money grab. In this case, there were no deposition done. There were no facts or evidence that was submitted before court. So I just can't see any way where Mama Takeoff is going to have to go on the stand. And just think about from an emotional standpoint. You know how terrible that is? Like, your son already passed away. You fighting with your baby daddy over who has the right to his estate. Then on top of that, you have to try to keep his name out of the mud from these allegations that some woman is filing against him, and he's not even here to defend himself. That's absolutely crazy, but it is a thing. There are instances, like I said, with child support. If you owe back child support and you die, they can still get that money from your estate. Legal actions can survive a death of a defendant, but if it's civil, but it just depends on how far along they were in the actual litigation process. If they have evidence that was gathered, if depositions were done, it's probably more likely that someone could stand in and they can have what people would purport to be a fair trial based on the evidence, because each side had a deposition where they testified under oath as to what happened, and then you can still bring your third party witnesses in. But it's going to be interesting to see how this play out. Yo, everything is about money. Okay, how you move today impacts your money tomorrow. So you always got to keep your nose clean out there, because hey, it's sometimes allegations are favorable for the plaintiff because the facts prove them true. Other times they're favorable for the defendant because the facts prove that people is out here capping. But hey, you don't lose the battle, or you still have to fight the battle, even if you become a deceased individual. Is going to be up to your estate to fight that battle for you, and up to the judge if that battle is going to move forward. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think this is fair? Do y'all think this is foul? Do y'all think this is crazy? I just don't think that. I don't even think it's about like it, her being able to prove the case because that'll be easy. I could prove anything if nobody is here to say it didn't happen. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. If hey, if the person I'm accusing of something passed away and he not on the stand and say it didn't happen, I can say, man, that person did this, this, and this, and that'll be the only evidence that's presented. And that in no way is fair for anybody. The justice system got to be fair. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. When the judge render his decision in February, I might make a short video just talking about what happened so y'all can know. But like I said, I personally hope Mama Takeoff don't have to become a defendant in this case to defend her son because they just can't put up a viable defense. And in my personal opinion, I think that's a little bit of BS. Again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And if y'all enjoyed this video, check out the video on the screen. It's going to be more content related to finances and attorney reactions. Peace.